Still Wakes the Deep is a first-person horror game where you play as Kaz McCleary, an electrician aboard a Scottish oil rig in the 1970s when something goes catastrophically wrong. The game is available on Steam, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles. Atmosphere. The oil rig feels both fragile and maze-like. The endless, winding structures descend to darkness, and the towers spiral up into forever, but it still feels familiar, even with the walls bulging.
Hello?
The atmosphere keeps the game feeling desperate as things keep getting worse, forcing Kaz between failing machinery and broken down pipework that give the same feeling as poking a bear. Eventually something is going to snap.
Douglas? Douglas?
The game uses the full body model for Kaz, which is something you just don't see very often nowadays, but it's a nice touch and gives platforming sections more weight as you can physically see yourself when you look down. The game's verticality as well gives a lot of weight to the concept of falling to your death. There's a few sections of dread as you push yourself through the dark and murky water of the Northern Sea, and some parts where you evade enemies, but the atmosphere never gets too intense. It hovers between the eerie and hopeless sensations, and by the end game, all hope has gone.
You'll have to head out onto the stack and use the relighter I gave you.
Fuck.
Did you hear me, Kaz? Wave or something so I know you receive it.
Prick.
Understood. Godspeed.
Though the interactions between characters can be amusing, there's an earnest sincerity to the performances that adds another layer of anxiety to all the problems plaguing the decrepit rig, with Kaz's troubled past being brought up now and then, as well as his home life which he seems to deeply miss. Though things are bleak, there's this unified feeling that everyone is in it together, at least with those who haven't turned. Still Wakes the Deep's atmosphere is tied very closely to its story, but it does a great job presenting environments that are claustrophobic and perilous for Kaz to begrudgingly push his way through.
Right.
That's one Harry Mason. Scares. There's a lot of platforming that has the potential to be frightening, with creeping across narrow ledges and jumping over gaps that again can be unnerving thanks to things like the explosions and quick-time events that you have to pass to not fall to your death. Of course, there's monsters roaming the rig whose designs are unique to say the least. A giant blob of flesh and tendrils that allow them to hover through the air. They're intimidating, but can be distracted by throwing things, but not for long and not always consistently. Though the enemies speak to you in the voices of the people they're meant to be, the AI can ruin the moments, with some of the monsters acting like they know where you are, but also seem to be wandering around lost. The associated death animations are a little lackluster, with getting caught just immediately cutting away to a death screen instead of anything more impactful. These minor things put a bit of a dampener on the fear from the monsters and lead to some electrifying moments being not quite as frightening as they should have been.
Oh, Jesus. Fucking bastard.
The more scripted sequences where you get chased through an area can be very intense, but they are very linear as well, and usually resolve themselves. Other than that, there's swimming through the pipes with the darkness, the lack of air, and Kaz's muffled screams as his air runs out, which is disturbing as well. The game presents a lot of things that should add up to be frightening, but it's more often than not these things add up to being horrifying and disturbing instead. It's not a scary game, it's a nightmare that's happening all around you. That's two Harry Masons. Sound design. The game's sound design is immaculate, and it's mostly thanks to the dialogue. The soundtrack and sound effects are really great, however, with beautiful string sections to back up the more ethereal moments of the game, but the rest of the time the sound effects and music work together, the creaking metal of the ship and a slow winding trumpet or string section to give you the feeling of tension as you explore the crumbling offices. A vague, whispery ambient tone is layered with the ungodly moans and screams of the trapped and the turned.
Fucking move it!
But as I said at the start, it's the dialogue that takes the trophy, with some absolutely stellar voice acting that not only comes across with genuine heartfelt emotions and meaning, but really reveals how broken these people are as they forge onwards through a disaster none of them had ever imagined.
What's going on, Kaz? What happened with the chopper?
That cunt tried to go without us, but, well, didn't work out well for him or the bird.
Bloody hell, Kaz. Is anyone alive?
Aye, I saw Finlay. We had to get the Jennies on, and Brody as well, helping with the tension legs. Do you know what? I'm a fucking rig expert now.
Told you to take no time. Yeah, I'm glad you've not been alone out there. Those two are all right.
I saw O'Connor. He's one of these things, but I thought... fuck, I don't know what I thought, but whatever it is folk are being turned into, there's something of them still in there. What's going on, Roy?
Making jokes and nervously laughing as it all falls apart around them.
Somehow.
There's dialogue for seemingly every occasion, and it does wonders to add to the immersion. Though people who struggle with heavy Scottish accents are going to find it hard with just the subtitles, so there's a language barrier somewhat. On top of this, the rest of the sound design, from the reverb to the directional audio, works so well that any flaws are imperceptible. That's 3 Harry Masons.
Fuck, I think he heard me.
Gore. The gore is mostly found in specific chapters of the later game, whilst there's some bodies to be found and the full gauge of them is pretty extreme. From corpses floating in the water in the pontoons, to the mangled, barely human remains of the disfigured staff members you bump into in accommodation, the latter being some of the most disgusting bodies I've seen in a long time. There's some blood in places, and that's all you really expect for the rest of the game. That's 4 Harry Masons. Story. Set on an oil rig in the 1970s, Kaz McCleary is called to his boss's office over a shadow from his past catching up with him. After the confrontation, something unbelievable happens. The event that starts the real story of the game is probably the thing explained the least about Still Wakes the Deep, and it doesn't matter much in hindsight. The game is more about the people, how it affects Kaz, his family, his friends and colleagues, and his relationships he has with his boss and others. People call him up on the phone to tell him they're not going to make it, and there's a real connection to these people since the voice acting is so good, and they all have names, so even if you never meet them in the game, at least for the time you're talking to them, their story means something, even if it's coming to an end. You get a real feel for the environments and things that have been going on with the intro sequence. You understand people's friendships and motivations, and the characters feel fully formed, which makes it harder later when it all kicks off. The game is obviously very linear, and some people may find that off-putting, and the ending did feel a little strange and really lost me, but it's more about the journey than the destination, making the final score 5 out of 5 Harry Masons. As someone who lives in England and hears the strong Scottish accent a lot, Still Wakes the Deep felt familiar. Its characters were endearing, even the ones that were against you from the start. It does fail at a few things, and it's less of a frightening game and more of a traumatic event, and that's probably going to divide people. I really liked this game and was so impressed coming from Amnesia and Machine for Pigs to this. Again, I'd like to remind you the whole thing is down to my opinion in horror games, and if you don't share this opinion, then that's cool, I get it. I'd like to point out that whilst I wanted to punch Rennick, I did not give up on my friends, and you shouldn't either. There'll be more horror reviews in the pipeline, and thanks for watching. Always go check out Bumps in the Middle of the Night. Peace.